Hello, Buddhas. Today we are going to be talking about something you may not want to know. Now, Buddhas, before we get started, I've got a playlist down below in the video description with almost 200 Buddha Billionaire videos that you can binge watch to help accelerate your spiritual awakening. Now, disclaimer time. If you do not want to possibly go through this experience, stop watching the video so that you don't know what it is. But now that I've got you hooked, you're going to want to know anyways, so you can continue. You've been warned. Now, what is it that you may not want to do that I'm currently going through, and it's kind of interesting and fun? It's the not wanting to know that you're awake moment of your spiritual journey. It's going to happen at some point, or it may happen at some point, but that's why I put the video description and the disclaimer being like, hey, you may not want to watch this. But hey, I'm going through it. It's very interesting. About 2 weeks ago, a friend of mine mentioned that she was very frustrated with knowing that she was awake and going through that. And I was like, yeah, I can totally relate to that. And then I realized that I couldn't relate to it. So now I'm going through it, and it's such an interesting process because it was kind of like pointed out to me as a part of my psyche, being like, hey, I'm frustrated at knowing all this stuff and I kind of wish I could go back to normal. It was easier. It was different. I wasn't so like, for a time. And I didn't really think much of it, but I'm starting to realize that the things that happen to us in our world, the reflection of the mirror constantly, is really talking to us constantly, and we ignore it a lot. But when you start to take the message and understand a little bit more and acclimate it, that's when things really start to happen and that process starts to go through. I'm very grateful to be going through this process of being frustrated with this process. Meta, I know. But that's because I understand that it's a state. I understand that this is a step on that journey and it's a point in time and space, and it's not my end result. It's a part of the bridge of incidents. It's understanding and acclimating a perspective, really, is what I'm going through here. And Buddhas, if any of you are going through this now and need someone to talk to, let me know down in the video description because I'd be happy to talk with all of you. And that's all really a big part of my new approach to going through this, is understanding that everyone is in their state and understanding that that state is not their entire being. It's a portion of it. It's where they're at right now, and we are all going through these different states. And this is such a beautiful example that I can now share with you, Buddhas, about how I'm going through the state of being annoyed with the fact that I know I'm going through this whole spiritual journey, and I'm annoyed that I understand how things work now, somewhat. And I'm annoyed at seeing the world, and I'm just generally frustrated and annoyed with what I'm going through. And I think that fighting that would be the absolute worst idea ever. Sitting with it, understanding that I'm going through this process, and being okay with that is actually already started, even just this morning, to make me feel worlds better, to make me understand that this is a part of that journey, and this may last a day, this may last 2 days, I don't know, but I'm very much looking forward to the next stage. And a huge part of this as well is triggered in a way of getting what you want. And it's starting to all kind of piece together, where I am now in this state of being annoyed because earlier in the week I received some incredible visions. I received some incredible spiritual insights and part of this journey, and those felt incredible and amazing, and I want back at that. And I'm realizing that my desire for those events that happening is actually why I'm kind of feeling frustrated, because I'm just in this normal world. I'm just me right now. There's nothing special about my existence, prospectively, in comparison to what was happening in those visions, and I almost missed that. I want to go back to that. And it's very reminiscent of past relationships that I've had with people where I felt like I was sky high for a while, and then all of a sudden everything just fell out of place. And I'm starting to understand that those two things are very much related. It's very important to me now through this journey to start to recognize the really incredible moments of the manifestation, the incredible spiritual gifts, the incredible interactions with people. And that part of the journey gets overlooked a lot. So what I'm learning through this is that I'm currently in a state of being frustrated, but I'm willing to release it. I'm working through it. I'm sitting with it, and I'm not fighting against it, because I understand that this state that I'm in now is not complete and utter failure. I wish I'd never started. But more so that I was in a really high vibrational place for a while, and now I've dipped a little bit below it. But this current state of annoyance still feels better than I used to feel as a normal state all the time. So the constant elevation has definitely taken hold, but I just need to work with this feeling disconnected aspect. And Buddhas, I totally understand that this may not be something that you believe is a part of that journey, and that's totally fine. If you avoid this state, good for you. It means you've already gone through it in a different way. But I think it's also really important that we recognize the highs and the lows, and that we give ourselves that ability to be that kind of third-party objective viewer and just saying, okay, look, Alex is not feeling super hot today, and that's okay. That is totally okay. Fighting against it is actually not the solution. I'm just chilling today, playing some video games, relaxing, and that's it. That's all I got going on. Recording some Buddha Billionaire videos, of course, but that's what it comes down to. It comes down to doing, even though I may not feel great. And this is kind of getting ranty, but I'm just going to keep it the way that it is because it's a little bit raw and I like that. I also realized, if you're still with me here, this is the juicy bit, when you're feeling bad, but you still have that daily routine stuff, the meditation, the recording a Buddha Billionaire video, journaling. These are like 3 really fundamental things that I enjoy to do in my life. And they come super easily to me and super flowy and super satisfying, honestly, to create this content and to create in my meditations and to create in my journaling. That's why I love doing all of it. But when I feel off, I don't feel like immediately doing these things. But today I was sitting with myself and I thought, I am going to create a Buddha Billionaire video about this, and I am going to write about it in my journal. And I've already sat and meditated as well. I've done my 3 main tasks, other than like exercising and that kind of stuff, which I'm going to do a little bit later in the afternoon. But I've done those 3 main tasks, and honestly, Buddhas, I feel so much better now. And I'm knowing as well. Here's the really juicy bit, Buddhas. If you can get yourself that discipline, that motivation, that no, this is me no matter how I feel kind of level, you can get yourself to perform that daily task, even though you feel like garbage. It may not be the best you've ever done. I don't know if I'm even going to release this video, but it definitely adds to the effect, the compounding of those daily actions when you can do them even though you don't feel great. That's where the real breakthroughs happen, because right now, by expressing this, I am feeling an incredible release. I am feeling as if I am really coming into an understanding here of what it means to do hard work. And it's not how difficult the task is itself, it's about how you do it even though you don't feel motivated to do it, because you know how much you love it no matter what. And not letting my state affect how I feel and how I communicate. So Buddhas, if that made any sense whatsoever, I think we're going to dive into this more in another video as well. But I really love if you comment down below and see if you can relate to this in any way, and share this with anyone that needs to hear it. Because if you're having a bad day, that happens. That's okay. Sit with it. Try to perform your normal actions. Try to center yourself. Try to work with you. Try to do the things you would do anyways, even if you don't feel like doing them. And just don't expect incredible results, but do them. Get it out there so that you're putting in those motions, and it may click, it may trigger, it may be the first thing and the best thing you ever had to do just that one time, or if you need to do it a couple times to really start to ingrain that as a habit pattern, then do it, Buddhas. That's where the discipline comes in, that's where the motivation comes in, and this has been a Buddha Billionaire message. At the end of the day, Buddhas, remember the most important thing, no matter how you feel about yourself, is to love yourself.